A warm welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel, guys. How you all doing? Summer is here, so we're going to talk about hand polishing our cars, and in particular we'll demonstrate hand polishing on our red Peril. So for lots of people that don't have, you're probably thinking the paintwork looks amazing. Look at the state of this paintwork on this car. It is terrible. It's been painted at some point. There's deep scratches over here. The camera, there we go, it generally can't focus properly. If it could, it would look like a dog's dinner, and there's all sorts of like oxidization and fine texture on this paint as well. Just terrible paint on this car. Bits of it have been painted to a reasonable standard, other bits haven't, and parts of it there's paint peeling off and cracking out the arches and all that sort of stuff. Paint gets crushed when the seals get jacked up incorrectly. So really, if this car was mint and perfect, I'd be crying every time it went out of my hands and you know, had work done on it, because the paint will just get damaged. So in some ways it's a kind of relief that the paint isn't very good and I don't have to take this car too seriously. But what we want to do is we want to go from all of this fine swirly hazing to a better kind of finish. Now it's important to say, by hand you're not going to take out those lines of scratches, because the amount of rubbing you do, when you rub abrasives over a surface, you're effectively removing material and, you know, refining the surface and lowering it and getting a flatter, smoother finish and rubbing away the scratches, literally. To do that takes a lot of work and effort. If you use really aggressive compounds, they tend to be cloudy and don't give you that finish. So by machine, if you use a heavy cutting compound with a heavier pad, you tend to finish it with a finishing polish and a softer pad. By machine, by hand, those scratch remover products are very aggressive that you use in little areas. So a lot of times you need to finish those out as well. Now the types of products we've got here are two glazes that are very well known, the Super Resin Polish of Autoglym. And this, I just nicked the bottle of this one. This is actually Bilt Hamber cleanser polish in here. And they both essentially do a similar thing. They're kind of like a slightly abrasive resin cocktail that you can work by hand to improve your paintwork. Then once you've done that, you could look to put a liquid wax on, like the Extra Gloss Protection, or the Hydra wax, which is a liquid wax, or a paste wax like the ultra high definition paste wax, or the Bilt Hamber double speed wax. Really, we've talked so much about the differences in these products. This one's a little bit of an oddball because it's like an all-in-one, an AIO that has abrasives and finishing products in it. So that could be an option if you just want one hit and you're done. Anyway, so as well as washing the car thoroughly and prepping the car, making sure you clay bar any bits of contamination that are stuck on, especially around here, you know, give it a good clay bar to get all that stuff off, so you effectively got a nice smooth, kind of silky smooth panel before you go and polish, because you don't want all the chunks. You know, if you ever wipe polish over a car with contamination chunks on it, you see like little hot comet trails as they hit the little bits of stuck on contamination and drag over the top. If this doesn't feel nice and silky and smooth and good, then you need to clay. Okay, so we understand that. That's important. The next thing is the applicator. It's nice if you're polishing by hand to have a good applicator. This is a cheap kind of Alibaba the Express knockoff pad that, you know, used to be about 10p, and they're actually quite decent. Don't know if you can still get them. Used to be the old ZFE stores. This is much higher quality Adams pad with a really stiff bit here, but a nice soft kind of thing there, which makes a good applicator. This is the Flex one, which is a massive pad, which is better really for waxes because it's a bit soft, but you can cover ground so quick with that big Flex one. You can also take machine polisher pads like this green, or you could take the white softer one if you like. They make quite good hand applicator kind of pucks, if you like, for waxes. A torch is always handy as well. The good thing when you're polishing with a glaze, you don't need to use any panel wipes. Apologies regarding the light. So we'll just use the classic Autoglym Super Resin polish, and we'll see if we can see a difference. Before we put it on, we'll just put a line of tape down here. I'll just chuck this here so you can see what we're doing, guys. We'll see what sort of difference we can get. There we go. And I think when you're working by hand as well, unfortunately, you've got two options. It's always everything with detailing. Work quickly or take your time. And sometimes you'd think, well, take your time, but you don't always have time, do you? So it's whatever the circumstances allow, really. So what we'll do is we'll shake up our super resin polish, just to mix everything up. Do we really need to read the instructions? You know, do not allow to dry. Yeah. Yeah, buff it, yeah. It's interesting though, isn't it? Because you'd leave it a bit. So this can go a bit crummy, you see, this product. If this is the latest version of it, it can go a little bit kind of chalky. That's quite a lot of polish actually, but it's a nice fresh pad. Just dab it around our target area. And the more we work this, the more we are actually polishing the surface, but the longer it's going to take. So the worse your paintwork is, the more you probably benefit from just rubbing on this paintwork like we're doing now. I remember when I was a kid and I used to use this. It was so abrasive and I used to buff the hell out of the paint with it. And I'd really buff aggressively and I'd keep going and going and going. And the paint would get slicker and glossier and glossier and glossier. And I'd just keep going. Even if it meant like spending 10 minutes on one little area, I'd buff the hell out of it. Nowadays I don't do that. I'd let the machine polisher do the work, typically with a pure abrasive. Or I would just put this glaze on, not expect miracles. Now it's applied, it's dissolved and it's drying all the time. So we can buff this product off, and then the stuff that's left behind in the paintwork is going to harden off and fill. So yeah, it's a pretty simple product to use. And if we get the torch, we should see that hazy film there. It's interesting that it says do not let it dry. I suppose that just makes it harder to buff. But if we take a nice buffing cloth, we'll take one of these. Oh, Jesus, a couple of these cloths here. Just give that a good buff. How much of an improvement is that really going to make? I'll tell you straight away, it feels like it's glossing up under my hand, which is nice. But this is a pretty clean, shiny car, but that feels like I've just polished. You know, like you've got that satisfied, polished feeling. And all you would do is go around the entire car and do what I've just done. I'm just going to get that little tape line out. And I think that's not going to turn, it's not going to turn really bad paintwork into really amazing paintwork. But it is going to improve it a little bit. It's just going to reduce. Can you see that on camera? Like it's a bit more swirly kind of here. It's still swirly, don't get me wrong, but it's just a little bit more glossy. But really, I mean, I think I could go over this car and I can see the whiteness. So I can see the improvement on this side and a bit more whiteness on that side, which is good. So it takes away that haze and give you a slightly better finish. Can you see that? You can see it. I'm looking at it from the camera. Not much, but if this was a black car, you'd probably notice that difference a lot more. That is with pretty minimal effort and minimal. Oh, I just turned the camera off accidentally there, sorry. I was about to say, does it really matter what product you use to do like the buffing on there? Well, some of you are saying like, well, you should be using this one, should be using that one. I don't know. Whenever I've tested like hand glazes, I just find it kind of a bit difficult to gauge the difference in kind of performance. But we'll just try this Bilt Hamber one. I know this Bilt Hamber one is thinner. We'll just use it on this side of the thing. So this is going to come out more runny a little bit, yeah. haven't read the instructions here, but oh, that's wrong instructions, isn't it? Because it's a different label. Silly thing to do, but they decant it like that. But it was in the old metal bottle, and it was just bugging me. So you can see this product's a lot thinner. It's a lot oilier. I can spread it over that panel. Again, it's a dissolved resin as far as I know. So I can work this a little bit if I just want to polish the surface by hand. But again, essentially, this feels more abrasive, even though it's thinner. These are different products. Yeah, very different products to use. It's bad me not having the proper instructions when I do this, because it's always good when you're demoing this to follow instructions. But and it's really, it feels like such an old-fashioned concept nowadays. Like, to take a glaze or a polish and go around your car and buff on the paintwork. It just feels a bit unnatural, because I've just been using the machine polisher for so long and it takes so much of the work out. But this really was what everyone's been doing. The machine polisher now, I think in the last, 5 years, has really, you know, most people have got a machine polisher now, or lots have, and are just polishing their cars at home, no problems. Wind back 10 years ago, and a lot less had these. And this was the way to do it. But the results are different. So this resin is now going to stiffen up and fill all of those swirls. And this is a primer as well. So you would buff this off, a bit like the Autoglym product. It's going to start setting. So you're going to buff it off. It's going to shine up the paint. It's going to make the paint feel nice and slick as well, which is good. Make sure you get all the corners. And essentially, make sure I get all that. Essentially, you're going to go around the car and do the same thing. How different are these two products? I don't think they're radically different. It's not taken away all the swirls, but now I can no longer see that kind of line down there and the lighter haze on this left side. So it's glossed up, but ultimately all these swirls in this paint would need to be machine polished out, which would probably be, you know, the easy way to do it. Or just take that and do it. Hold on, I've got a phone call there. It's Danny. It's Danny. So there we go, guys. Now I've applied this, I would go ahead and go panel by panel, you know. I'd do that whole door, maybe half the door, apply it, buff it, 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 work my way around, a bit like if you're machine polishing. At the end, you'd go round and you'd apply paste wax, and then you'd finish that day thinking, well, it'd take you a few hours, wouldn't it? But you finish that thinking, yeah, the car's looking good. Really good, satisfying feeling. I'm just trying to think if there's any other tips. When you've done it, you'd want to wheel the car outside into the sunlight to make sure you haven't got any bits of polish that you've missed. You just might, if you're worried about trim and stuff like that, which people are, you know, it can dry on the trim. So like I could tape over that trim so I don't rub the polish into the trim if I'm worried about trim staining and all that. So that's another top tip that's really good. Apart from that, just have some clean microfiber towels and cycle them often, so that the towels are, you know, when you're buffing, it's a nice clean surface. Don't do it with just one microfiber cloth, because it just gets harder and harder progressively as you work your way around the car to buff, and you're leaving more on the car, you know, the longer you don't switch cloths. So have a little pile, at least like 4 or 5 cloths, I'd say, have clean ones, would be another top tip. And just enjoy the day, get some music on, and enjoy the end results. So that's polishing your car by hand. 2025, who's still doing it? Who still loves it? I'm having a bit of a wax renaissance at the moment. And so I'm really looking forward to getting this all like shiny and waxed up. I think I might go with, I don't know which one to go with. I might go with the ultra high definition product or a completely different wax. We maybe have some fun. So thanks for tuning in. Let me know if you're still doing this, and I'll see you soon on the Forensics Detailing channel. We've got another comparison test coming soon over there with some detail sprays, which should be good fun. I'm just going to prep the panel and then we'll start on that one as well. So don't forget to subscribe if you want to see that test.